This morning, you did something so automatic that you never felt it happen. You stood up, you crossed a room, your heels struck the floor first, rolled forward, and pushed off your toes, and you gave it exactly zero thought. But the way you just walked would have looked strange to almost every human who ever lived. Something about your body has changed, and the strangest part is that nothing inside you changed at all. You think walking is the most human thing you do? You think it is ancient, unbroken, passed down unbroken from the first people who stood upright on two legs? That is what makes this so hard to believe, because you don't walk the way they walked. You walk the way your shoes taught you to. Look down at your feet right now. There are 26 bones in each one, 33 joints, more than 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments woven together into something that took millions of years to build. Your foot is not a simple platform. It is one of the most sophisticated pieces of engineering evolution ever produced, and for the vast majority of the time it existed, it touched the ground. Now picture the last person in your family line who walked barefoot every single day. Not on a beach, not for fun, as a way of living. You probably can't. For most of us, that person is so far back we have no memory of them at all. Somewhere along the way, your feet went into a box and they never really came out. The scientist who has spent his career trying to understand what that did to you is a Harvard evolutionary biologist named Daniel Lieberman. He wanted to know something simple. When a barefoot human walks and runs, how does their foot actually meet the ground? So he studied people who had never worn shoes in their lives, and he compared them to people like you. What he found should change the way you think about every step you take. When you walk in cushioned shoes, you land on your heel. Hard. A sudden spike of force travels up through your leg with every stride. A jolt your body was never designed to absorb over and over on flat pavement. Barefoot walkers land differently. Softer, flatter. Their feet read the ground and adjust, spreading the impact instead of slamming it home. Your shoe took over that job. And when something else does the job for you, your body slowly forgets how to do it itself. Here is the part that feels almost impossible. This is recent. Not thousands of years recent. In evolutionary time, it is the blink of an eye. An anthropologist named Eric Trinkhaus went looking for the moment shoes entered human history, and he found it hidden in an unlikely place. Toe bones. He noticed that in very old human skeletons, the small toes were thick and strong, built by a lifetime of gripping and flexing against the earth. Then, at a certain point in the fossil record, those little toe bones suddenly got thinner and weaker. Not the big toe. The big toe still works hard when you push off, but the smaller toes went quiet. Something had started protecting them. Something had started doing their work for them. Trinkhaus concluded that sturdy, supportive footwear became common around 40,000 years ago. Your ancestors walked barefoot for millions of years, and then, in one short stretch near the very end, they stopped. 40,000 years sounds like a long time. It isn't. Your species is far older than that. The bones that make up your foot were shaped by a world with no shoes in it at all, which means the foot you were born with is still, in every meaningful way, a barefoot foot. It is expecting a ground it will probably never touch. So what was that foot built for? To answer that, you have to go back much further, to a question that puzzled scientists for a long time. Humans are strange animals. We are slow. We have no claws, no fangs, no fur, no natural weapons. On a short sprint, almost every animal our size can outrun us with ease. So how did our ancestors ever catch anything? How did creatures this fragile survive on a plain full of things that wanted to eat them? Daniel Lieberman, working alongside a biologist named Dennis Bramble, proposed an answer that turned the question upside down. They argued that humans were not built to be fast. Humans were built to be relentless. In 2004, in the journal Nature, they laid out what became known as the endurance running hypothesis. The idea is that your ancestors evolved into some of the greatest long-distance movers on the planet. Not the fastest, the most tireless. Think about what that requires. Springy tendons in the legs that store and release energy like a bow. A tall, narrow body that sheds heat. Millions of sweat glands so you can cool yourself while you keep moving, long after a four-legged animal has to stop and pant in the shade. And feet. Arched, flexible, shock-absorbing feet that could carry a body across miles of open ground, hour after hour, without breaking down. Your foot is not the foot of a sitter. It is the foot of a traveler. There is a hunting technique that still exists in a few corners of the world, and it is a living echo of this. It is called persistence hunting. A group of humans picks an animal and simply follows it. They don't try to catch it in a burst. They keep it moving, deny it rest, and stay behind it under the hot sun for hours until the animal, unable to cool itself, collapses from heat exhaustion. The humans were never faster. They were only more patient. They walked and jogged their prey into the ground on the strength of their feet and their sweat. That is the machine you are sitting inside right now. Not a couch machine, a distance machine. And it barely knows what a floor is. So what happens when you take a body built for endless barefoot movement across natural ground and you put it in a soft shoe on a hard, flat surface for its entire life? Researchers have spent years trying to measure exactly that. One of them, a biomechanist named Irene Davis, studies the forces that travel through your legs when you move. Her work keeps circling the same uncomfortable idea. The heavy heel-first landing that modern footwear encourages sends a sharp, repeated impact up through the body, the kind of loading that a barefoot gait naturally softens. We wrapped our feet in cushioning to protect them, and in doing so, we may have quietly changed the way the whole leg absorbs the shock of being human. Your shoes did not just cover your feet. They rewrote your instructions. Now here is the twist you didn't see coming. It isn't only your feet that changed, it is your attention. When you walk barefoot on real ground, your feet are constantly reading the world. Every pebble, every root, every shift in the surface sends a stream of information up into your brain. The sole of your foot is packed with thousands of nerve endings, and for most of human history, that skin was a sense organ. Always on, always listening to the earth. Your ancestors felt the ground the way you feel a phone buzz in your pocket. Constantly, unconsciously, it shaped how they moved and where they stepped. You have shut that sense off. Every day, you seal it inside foam and rubber, and the ground goes silent. You have a superpower woven into the bottom of your feet, and you almost never use it. You never noticed it was there. You never noticed it went quiet. And this is the deeper thing. It was never really about walking. It is about how much of your body you have handed over to the objects around you. The shoe absorbs the impact so your foot doesn't learn to. The chair holds your spine so your muscles don't have to. The screen remembers the number so your mind can let it go. Piece by piece, comfort takes over the jobs your body evolved to do, and piece by piece, your body stops doing them. It doesn't complain. It just quietly forgets. The biomechanist Katie Bowman has a phrase for this. She says, "We are not sedentary so much as we are," in her words, sensory starved. Our bodies are starved of the rich, varied, constant input they were built to expect. Flat floors, flat shoes, flat days. A world so smoothed out that the machine designed to travel across a wild planet has almost nothing left to feel. None of this means your shoes are the enemy. They protect you from broken glass and frozen ground and 1,000 hazards your ancestors simply endured. This is not a story about going backward. It is a story about noticing, about understanding that the most ordinary thing you do all day is not as ancient and unbroken as it feels. It is a recent invention wearing the mask of something timeless. So the next time you take your shoes off at the end of the day, pause for a second. Feel the floor under your bare feet. That small, strange sensation of contact is not nothing. It is the ground reaching your brain the way it reached the brain of every human who came before the invention of the box you keep your feet in. For a moment, the sense switches back on. For a moment, you are walking the way you were built to walk. This morning, you did something so automatic that you never felt it happen. Now you know it was never automatic at all. It was taught. And underneath the lesson your shoes gave you, the older instructions are still there, printed into 26 bones and 100 muscles, waiting for a ground they can finally feel again.